Hey guys, it's Jorge again. Day 2 of the NFL draft just completed about an hour and a half ago, or about an hour ago, and a lot happened. A lot of things are important to talk about. My Dolphins, I don't know, man. There's good and bad, and I'll get into the Dolphins a little bit later. I'm not going to go through like I did in the round one video and say every pick. I noticed that I messed up actually in the last video. The Kenny Clark um, went to the Packers at 27. I said Kenny Clark again went to the Panthers at 30, but it was Vernon Butler. So there was actually 4 defensive tackles that went in the first round. But the defensive lineman in the second round was crazy. There's 58 defensive players in the first 3 rounds of this draft. It's the highest ever. Um, that's crazy to me. A lot of these defensive tackles and defensive linemen went in the second and third rounds that a lot of people had in the first round. So um, it's pretty crazy. I'll go round by round here. I'll start with the third round, and I'm going to go through some notable picks here. The Patriots at 28, they went ahead and took Jacoby Brissett, quarterback. The only reason I thought this was notable was just because they need to find a backup quarterback when Tom Brady is going to be suspended for the first 4 games. I'm not sure Brissett is going to be their backup. I'm not even 100% sure why they went quarterback here, to be honest with you. But the Patriots are the Patriots, and they usually know what they're doing. Although their whole draft so far doesn't look too great to me, and that makes me happy. Moving up now, the Dolphins. We traded back into the third round. I'll talk about the other third round pick we had, but we traded back into the third round. We gave up next year's third and next year's fourth in this year's 6th round to get the Vikings pick in the third round this year, which was the 23rd pick in the third round. The reason I feel as though we were able to give up so much for this is because I think the 3rd or 4th round pick next year is going to be a compensatory pick. We lost a lot of free agents, so I'm pretty sure we're going to get a pretty high compensatory pick. And they felt as though they were going after a guy that they really wanted. We got Leonte Carroo, wide receiver from Rutgers, and the Dolphins, I went ahead and watched all the press conferences after every pick. The Dolphins seem to be going after guys that they call alpha males, guys that are ultra competitive and want to be the guy. And I like that. I like that idea. It's a great idea. They said that Chris Greer, our general manager, said that we want guys that are mentally tough, mentally and physically tough. That's what the championship teams are. And we want alpha males. So he went up and got Leonte Carroo from Rutgers. And I watched a little bit of film on him right after the pick because I'd never watched any wide receivers almost in this draft because Miami is loaded at wide receiver right now. So I did not think we'd go wide receiver. But it came to my attention as well that next year Kenny Stills, his rookie contract will be up, so he'll be a free agent next year. If we feel as though Leonte Carroo can be a year into our system and he could be better than Kenny Stills next year, we might just let Kenny Stills walk and still have Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, and Leonte Carroo. So it could be a long-term deal that they thought here, as well as bringing even more high power to that offense that Adam Gase is now the head coach of. If we were going to trade back into the third round, I did not think it was wise for us to go get a wide receiver. I thought we needed a linebacker or a safety or another corner at that spot. So it was a little frustrating for me. If we would have traded up to maybe 20, we could have gotten Kendall Fuller, which I would have liked. I can't believe Kendall Fuller. I'll talk about him in a minute, but I felt as though we needed to go corner or linebacker or safety. We needed to address defense, and we went again on the offensive side of the ball. In an extremely high-powered defensive draft, we went 3 of our 4 picks were on offensive side of the ball. that could come back to bite us in the ass when our defense is giving up 30 points a game next year. Anyway, keep moving up that third round notables. The Texans at 22 got Braxton Miller. They already got Will Fuller in the first round. Braxton Miller, Will Fuller, and DeAndre Hopkins. That wide receiving group just went from mediocre to beast. They could be fantastic next year. Again, that's relying on two rookies, so you never can fully tell. I think Will Fuller is kind of a Mike Wallace type. Braxton Miller is going to be a nice slot receiver. 21, this is where the Redskins took Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller was like the 8th corner, or 9th corner, or 10th corner, somewhere in there. Crazy. I thought he was going to be the first corner taken in the second round, or at least the second behind Mackenzie Alexander. He dropped all the way to the late third round, or mid to late third round, and it must have something to do with his knee injury. But it's crazy to me because even Mel Kiper said that if Miami got him in the second round, it would be a steal. In the second round, the 11th pick of the second round, it would be a steal to Mel Kiper. And he goes 21st in the third round. It's a little crazy to me. Anyways, jumping even further ahead, Miami Dolphins at the 10th spot in the third round got Kenyon Drake. I actually called this pick before it happened. I was almost hoping for Devontae Booker, but Kenyon Drake, the more and more I look at his film, the happier I get. Yes, he is a backup behind Derrick Henry, but with Adam Gase's system, for those that don't know, Adam Gase loves to throw to the running backs. He loves the shifty backs that can catch out of the backfield and produce big plays. He likes to get those matchups like that. So Kenyon Drake is a decent sized running back. He's pretty fast. He looks faster on tape to me than he did run the 40. He ran a 4.48. And while that is still fast, he would blow past defenders in the secondary sometimes. He is shifty. He is quick. He can definitely catch the ball. And I think he had the highest elusive rating, or the second highest elusive rating in all of college football, which is going to be really cool to match up with Jay Ajayi. I think I even seen some people that say that Kenyon Drake could be a better NFL running back than Derrick Henry. And I'm biased here, obviously, but I hope that's true, and I think it could be true because the NFL nowadays is a committee backfield type, and what running backs that can catch out of the backfield typically last longer in the pros. And I think Kenyon Drake could do that. He could be that, get him 10 to 20 touches somewhere in there, run him 6-7 times, but throw it to him 6 or 7 more times, and he could help produce with us too. In the third round, the last one I'm going to talk about is the Bears got the steal, one of the steals of the draft here with Jonathan Bullard at the 9th spot in the third round. This dude, if you've watched my other video, I think Jonathan Bullard was a late first or late second round pick at the very least. And this dude, I love him. I love Jonathan Bullard, and I love what the Bears did here. The Bears might have the best draft so far. They got Cody Whitehair, and after they traded down into the second, they got Cody Whitehair. Some people say he's the best guard in the draft. They got Jonathan Bullard, and they moved ahead and got Leonard Floyd in the first round. So I feel as though they did a very good job in this draft so far. The notable picks in the second round. I'll start from the bottom again. The Buccaneers at 28 took Roberto Aguayo, the kicker. They took a kicker in the second round, guys. A kicker. And I understand the rule changes, and I understand the PATs are harder. But I didn't even know this before. But when they drafted him, I looked at the stats for this guy. He missed a lot of long field goals. It wasn't like he was automatic. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that could come back to haunt him. At the same time, the kicker position is more valued than it was before. It's just crazy to me that the Bucs drafted the kicker before guys like Jonathan Bullard, Kendall Fuller, Braxton Miller, other guys like that. The Vikings at 23 took Mackenzie Alexander. That could be another great steal. Some people had him going to Miami at 13 in the first round. So to get him at the 23 spot in the second round, and they're going to match him up with their first round draft pick from last year, Trey Waynes, that could be a future of deadly defensive backs there in Minnesota. The Jets took Christian Hackenberg at 20. The reason that this was a notable pick to me is that it was the quarterback that went before Connor Cook has not been picked. Connor Cook has not been picked. Some people had him in the first round. He has not been picked by round 3. And Christian Hackenberg was the first quarterback taken in the second round. So it just caught my eye that nobody had gone after Connor Cook. And I've seen a lot of people saying that this is a terrible, terrible pick for the Jets. And I like that as a Dolphins fan. 18, the Seahawks went and got Jarran Reed. A lot of people considered him to be a first-round draft pick from Alabama. The Lions at 15 got A'Shawn Robinson, the other D tackle on that same defense. Most people considered him a first-round talent. 14, the Titans got Derrick Henry. A little odd for me because they do have DeMarco Murray now, but I do like them pairing DeMarco Murray with a younger version of DeMarco Murray. They remind me of each other just because of straight ahead runners with not a ton of agility. You have to put them in the right system and just make them go forward, and they could be really effective that way. But in that same round, the Titans also took Kevin Dodd at number 2. I know I'm skipping some other notable picks here, but I wanted to talk about the Titans. They got Kevin Dodd, and I thought that was a great pick for them because Kevin Dodd was going to go in the first round in a lot of people's mock drafts. And Kevin Dodd could really help that defensive line. 10, the Bills traded up here and got Reggie Ragland. This could be a steal, and again, the Bills did a great job in this draft. They got Shaq Lawson, who was projected to go to Miami a lot of the time in the top 15. They got him at number 18. No, they got him at 19 in the first round. And then they go ahead and get Reggie Ragland, who was also projected to Miami at number 13 a few times. So they got 2 first-round caliber talents, both of them steals. I thought the Bills did a good job. Number 8, the Bucks got Noah Spence. If he pans out, it could be an awesome pick. Noah Spence is supposed to be the best pass rusher, pure pass rusher in the draft. But with their other notable second-round pick being the kicker, this second round could come back to bite him in the ass if Noah Spence doesn't pan out. Number 7, the Dolphins actually traded up here 4 spots. And we did that because Chris Grier, again, is going after alpha males. He's going after a particular type of guy. And he also thought that there was going to be corners taken right before him. And he wanted to make sure he got the corner that he wanted. So we moved up and got Xavier Howard. We had to give up a 4th-round draft pick to move up 4 spots in the second round. So I was a little pissed off about that. But what makes me even more pissed off is Xavier Howard was not my even second best corner remaining. I had Mackenzie Alexander, and then Kendall Fuller, and then Xavier Howard as my top 3 corners remaining. If you refer to my other video, I'll talk about that. But one thing I do give them credit for is they went up and they got a guy that is an alpha male that they keep talking about, very highly competitive, and he's the size that they wanted. They really want those big corners. Funny enough, Xavier Howard's pro comparison was Byron Maxwell, and now they're going to be on the same team starting across from each other. I am glad we got a starting corner. I couldn't stress it enough yesterday, and we did get a starting corner, so that at least that makes me happy. Although I think Xavier Howard is going to have a lot of help over the top, especially as young as he is, or especially for the first few years, because he does give up a lot of big plays. He makes a lot of plays on the defensive end, but he gives up a lot of big plays as well. So Xavier Howard, I was about it. He's not my favorite pick, but I am happy we got a starting corner. The Jaguars, they traded up and got Miles Jack. Holy freaking crap. The Jaguars and the Cowboys could have made, this could be the draft of a century for either or both of them. The Jaguars they have Miles Jack and Jalen Ramsey. Are you freaking kidding me? The top 2 defensive prospects in this draft. Unless you count Jalen Smith, so the top 2 of the 3 best defensive players in this draft, the Jaguars just got. After spending good money on the defense, the Jaguars are about to be a playoff team. I'm sorry. I'm predicting they make the playoffs. Miles Jack is going to help that team. And even if he's not around for 10 years, he'll be around for 3 or 4 at least. And I pray they can last long. I'm not a huge Jaguars fan. I don't hate them. but they're just not one of my top favorite teams. They're okay, and I don't mind them, but I'm rooting for this kid. I like Miles Jack, and I think he could be an All Pro. So I pray for him, and I hope he does good here. I think the Jaguars with Jalen Ramsey and Miles Jack, their defense. Who in a million years would imagine that a team would give Miles Jack and Jalen Ramsey? Who? Who? If you can come out and say that you predicted this beforehand and prove it to me, I need to give you a hug because that's ridiculous. Miles Jack and Jalen Ramsey on the same team after the draft. That's awesome. And to go along with that, the Cowboys got Jalen Smith at number 3, and it was interesting that Jalen Smith went before Miles Jack. If his knee is as bad as people were obviously making it out to be, since Miles Jack dropped all the way out of the first round, it seems like Miles Jack has a short-term future. He's going to play for a while, be great, and then he seems like teams are worried that he won't last a long time. It's the opposite for Jalen Smith. He won't be able to play for a year, maybe 2, and then when he comes back, he should hopefully be healthy the rest of his career. So it was interesting how that kind of played out. The Cowboys wanted to go for the guy that might have a longer career, but he can't play right away, and the Jaguars went after a guy that can play right away, but might not have that long of a career. So both those guys I love. As a Miami Dolphin fan, when we were at 8 before we made the trades, those 2 guys were the guys I wanted the most, Jalen Smith and Miles Jack. So to see them be picked up early in the second round to go along with other top-tier talents in this draft is freaking amazing. I hate the Cowboys. I do not like the Cowboys. It's a family rivalry thing. So for them to get the running back I wanted, Ezekiel Elliott, and get a linebacker that I wanted, Jalen Smith, I'm kind of envious of them. That would be my ideal draft as a Dolphin fan. I mean, I would have preferred Miles Jack a little bit over Jalen Smith, but either of those 2 I would not ever complain about. So they got Ezekiel Elliott and Jalen Smith, 2 of the top 6 players in this draft, or 7 players in this draft. Mind blown. The last one, I already talked about the Titans, sorry. So that is kind of my feeling. I'll touch up on the Dolphins again. So our first round draft pick, we got Laremy Tunsil. Second round draft pick, we traded up, gave up our 4th round to go up and get Xavier Howard. Third round, we stayed put at 10, and got Kenyon Drake. But then we traded away our 3rd and 4th next year and 6th rounder this year to move back into the 3rd, and we got Leonte Carril. My overall feelings about the Dolphins draft so far, I am happy about Laremy Tunsil. I think that is a steal of the draft still. The Jonathan Bullard one to me could be huge, as well as Kendall Fuller, but the Laremy Tunsil at 13 could still be the steal of the draft. I am happy about that. Xavier Howard, while I'm not particularly happy about him, and I'm also not happy we had to trade up and give up our 4th round to do it, because that 4th rounder could also produce some great depth at a position of need, and we gave it away to go get a guy that wasn't even my top corner. So I'm a little upset about that. At the same time, we got the position we needed. We needed to fill a starting position, and he is going to fit our scheme pretty well. So it is what it is. There's pros and cons about that one. The Dolphins drafting Kenyon Drake, I thought was a reach for him. I thought he could have went in the 4th, maybe even the 5th. But we went after a guy that we wanted badly. And I don't think any other team in the NFL could use Kenyon Drake the way Adam Gase is going to be able to use him. So I do really like Kenyon Drake. I just wish we might have been able to get him in the 4th round if we hadn't made that trade for Xavier Howard. I'm happy with it, though. I'm not going to complain about Kenyon Drake. I'm happy with the pick. The Dolphins trading back up to get Leonte Carril. I understand that we have compensatory picks coming in next year, but to give up a 3rd, a 4th, and this year's 6th to go get a position that is not of need when we have other needs is a little bit frustrating here. I watched film on Leonte Carril, like I said, and I like the kid. I like his attitude. I like the way he plays. He referred to himself as a faster Anquan Boldin. I like Anquan Boldin. So if this kid plays anything near Anquan Boldin, I will take everything back bad I've said about it. But he better produce, because if he doesn't, or if he sits as a 4th receiver on our depth chart for even next year, if we do resign Kenny Stills, this is a bad move. especially since we have other positions of need. Overall, first round draft, I'll give Miami an A plus. Second round, I'll give us a C plus. I'll give us a B minus. Um, Third round, I want to give us a C, just a plain old C. Kenyon Drake, I would give him a B minus, and Leonte Carrero, I'd probably give a D plus or a C minus. So combined, probably give the third round a C. Overall, so far, I'm pretty happy with our. We got 2 positions of need, 3 positions of need, really, if you kind of guard. So we filled out 3 positions of need, and we got another competitor. We got guys that fit our schemes really well. So overall, give us a B plus so far in the draft. We'll see how tomorrow goes. We only have a 5th and 2 7th rounds remaining. So we need to fill linebacker or safety or corner. Linebacker, safety, corner. We need those. We have to go defense with all 3 of these next picks. The 7th rounders are probably going to be guys that we just hope make the team, but the 5th rounder better at least be a linebacker, corner, or safety. So anyways, I've gone on long enough. There's a lot to talk about with there being 2 rounds to talk about. But that's kind of how I'm feeling about the Dolphins draft and everything else that happened here in this second and third round. I didn't touch up on all the different trades, but there wasn't a lot of trades and there wasn't a lot of other picks that were important. I just picked out the ones that I thought were the most notable to me personally. So feel free, whoever watches, if it's Corey in the future, go back and comment and tell me who panned out and who didn't pan out, or who you think is going to pan out and who's not going to pan out. So that's kind of the second and third round of the draft on draft day number 2. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Go Dolphins.